Vinay Prasad loves evidence.
I'm back with a new video, and I want to talk about the CDC's new masking guidance. This guidance has caused a lot of consternation. Let me highlight the key takeaway message. Now, if you're vaccinated, you need to wear a cloth mask when you go to an indoor public space, but only if the local prevalence of disease is more than 50 per 100,000 cases, summed over a 7-day period. Not the daily rate, but summed over a 7-day period. Well, this is an interesting piece of guidance because I know the evidence that supports this guidance, which is there is none.
Ha ha ha, you stupid CDC. When I think the CDC is messing up horribly, I too am filled with great laughter. Ha ha ha! Apparently, Stanford doesn't know how to test for coronavirus, and this is also hilarious. His reason? A laboratory protocol that says if a test from a masked, vaccinated, asymptomatic person doesn't show human DNA, it has to be repeated. Well, that sure sounds funny if you've never been a person in a lab and performing these tests. But actually, that is a completely routine use of an internal control. Extraction of nucleic acids can fail for technical reasons, or the sample can be degraded, and you need the internal control to be confident in any negative coronavirus result. If you don't detect human DNA in the sample, then your test failed. This is a decision that has to be made by the laboratory worker in the lab. They don't know if the person was masked or vaccinated or asymptomatic. It's ridiculous. Masks, tests, vaccines, he does it all. I mean, he's got an opinion on it all. And so here's one in the BMJ. And you'll notice, like most of his opinions, it is the opposite of what the medical establishment believes. What is the basis of their disagreement with the FDA about vaccinating 12 to 15-year-olds? They say the likelihood of severe outcomes or death associated with COVID-19 infections is very low for children. Very low. How much is very low? Do you show us the evidence in your opinion article? No. Why did you only say severe outcomes or death? What is a severe outcome? Do you think that maybe going to the hospital is a severe outcome? Why don't you provide us with the data on, say, the risk to a child going to the hospital? But you don't seem to like providing very relevant data to your opinions. It's very weird. On the y-axis is hospitalizations per 100,000 population. This is cumulative rate of COVID-associated hospitalizations. What looks like does this look like very low to you? This is worse than any recent influenza season. Good thing we didn't listen to Vinay. We just hit a record number of hospitalizations. How many would we have hit if we hadn't vaccinated any of them?
The American Academy of Pediatrics is back, and they have a new blunder. They've blundered into a tweet that created quite a firestorm online. And I gotta.
Yes, tell me more about these blunders. That makes me laugh too, haha. I love it when they get things wrong. Oh my god, what? No. You've got to be kidding me. Vinay describes a new randomized controlled trial. The data, the evidence he's always wanted. And what does he say? He says the effect of cloth masks was more ambiguous. That's not what you said on Twitter, is it? What did you say on Twitter? It's true, you may have blocked me on Twitter, but I have the technology to still read the tweets. Ah yes, here is the right summary. Vinay says cloth masks do not work. And he shows one of the graphs. Let's read the rest of this paper. Why is it always something? Look at this study. They randomize masks to certain villages, some villages and other villages. In the control group, there's only a 13% mask rate. In the treatment group, there's a 42.3% mask wearing rate. And this is your evidence of a negative? One of the authors of this paper, this Bangladesh mask study, actually already addressed this flawed interpretation on Twitter. The guy thought the results that showed no statistical significance thought that he could interpret that cloth masks don't work. That's what this guy on Twitter thought. And the author of the study says that's a misreading. We find a clear and large statistically significant impact on COVID symptoms. Imprecise 0 for serologically confirmed COVID. The most likely interpretation is that cloth masks reduce COVID, but not as much as surgical masks. You can imagine why that makes sense. What if the cloth mask wearing was at 80%? You could have gotten an effect in that situation because it's just weaker. It's a weaker effect than a surgical mask. That's the logic. It's so obvious. How does Vinay not see this? Does he offer us evidence of harm to children if you mask them? He says in his title that the harm is real. No, he says there are no studies. The danger from COVID is proven. The danger from masks is not proven. Well, I hope that I have done my due diligence and provided enough evidence to prove my claim, which is that Vinay Prasad, MD, MPH, BS is a troll, and no one should take him seriously.